media, a short show spent more than half of his life living in a prison cell. He would stay in that cell about 22 to 24 hours of the day. The cell was so narrow that when he stretched out his arms, he would touch both sides of the room. That's how narrow the cell was. He claimed that the system inside was broken and that him and other inmates were treated unfairly. At the age of 43, he was diagnosed with severe depression, schizophrenia, and borderline personality disorder. Today I'm going to talk about how punishment of jail, prison, and juvenile detention affects the mental health of the inmates and the physical health. Imprisonment has become the new way of punishment for those guilty in the eyes of others. As they serve their time, their mental and physical health is put at risk for deteriorating. First, I'm going to talk about how punishment has evolved from earlier times and the change in prison systems. And earlier in ancient times, prison punishment involved being stoned to death, whipped, hung, or even for the really bad punishments, beheaded. Now, punishment in the normal society is being found guilty by trial, or in some states, the death penalty. Other crimes in medieval times, they would have being burned at the stake or banishment. Prisons were not maintained as well as they were today. The inmates were beaten, they were treated unfairly, they had to do hard labor, and even basic education wasn't even offered. Like, none of the helpful resources were offered to inmates to help them get back on their feet if they were to get released. According to Lisa Kerr, punishment theory and practices contains two impulses: that we should punish behavior because it's wrong and the offender is responsible, or that we should punish behavior because it's socially useful to do so. However, when I stated earlier that punishment is handled by trial or the death penalty, I should have also included that other forms of punishment could be paying fines, community service, or just having to appear in court before a judge. Now, let me talk about how the system can influence a person's mental or physical health. The American Journal of Men's Health says that stress within a person, plus the isolating punishment, being away from friends and family, and the addition of the instant life-changing of being incarcerated, can have a positive correlation between being in jail and having a higher risk of obtaining a mental health disorder. Those who have done time can pass their mental health disorders to their family members or their close friends by causing emotional stress. Children or young adults that are around people who have been involved in prison or criminal activities, if they're exposed to situations like this at an early age, then the risk of them being in jail or doing some type of crime is high. I told you some information about the adults that are convicted. Now let me tell you about adolescents that are sent to juvenile detention. There has been evidence that juvenile detentions cause adolescents in the early teens to abuse drug substances more, catch more STIs, or have more mood and mental disorders. According to Toxline, they claim that when adults abuse substances while pregnant, the child will most likely abuse those same substances when they're able to or when they get older. When teens are exposed to criminal activities from a close friend or family member, their chances of doing some crime, not that exact crime, but just any crime in particular, is very high. Adolescents with any degree of justice involvement have been diagnosed with either anxiety or depression within the year that they are convicted. Being convicted at a younger age puts a person at higher risk for going back to jail and having more health complications. Teenagers already have to deal with the stress of going through peer pressure, puberty, hormones, and so the addition of that incarceration just adds more to their stress hormone levels. As I come to the end of my speech, I hope you took some of the facts that I presented earlier, which I will present again. Jail or prison or juvenile detentions are places where we want to see the people who are found guilty go to, but we can forget sometimes how those places can be on the inside. Types of punishment have evolved over time for criminals and in different societies. It was found that mental health and substance abuse disorders positively correlate with the amount of time spent in jail. After hearing some facts about mental health among adolescents and adults, who still thinks that incarceration is the right way to go for being found guilty? Just raise your hand if you think that it's the right way to go. And those who don't think it, just raise your hand.